While most of us walk around with pennies jingling in our pockets without a second thought, some of these copper coins could be worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. That's right, what looks like ordinary pocket change might just be your ticket to a small fortune. I'm talking about the 1987 and 1988 Lincoln Memorial cents that have been quietly making waves in numismatic circles. These aren't ancient coins from some shipwreck or the Wild West, they're from the era of cassette tapes and shoulder pads, potentially sitting in your coin jar right now. Today, we're diving deep into these remarkable modern rarities that prove sometimes the most extraordinary treasures come in the most ordinary packages. Let's start with the 1987 penny. Now, I know what you're thinking, I've got dozens of these in my change jar. And you probably do. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck over 4.6 billion pennies in 1987, making them incredibly common. But here's where it gets interesting. Among those billions are a handful of pennies with a minting error so significant that it transforms an everyday cent into a five-figure collectible. The story begins at the Philadelphia Mint during a routine production day. As you probably know, modern pennies were supposed to be struck on copper-plated zinc planchets, the official term for the blank metal discs that become coins. But somewhere in the manufacturing process, something extraordinary happened. A few pennies were accidentally struck on planchets meant for dimes. These planchets were composed of copper-nickel rather than the standard copper-plated zinc. This mistake created what numismatists call a wrong planchet error. And while minting errors occur with some regularity, this particular one is exceptionally rare. The 1987 penny struck on a dime planchet weighs approximately 2.27 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams, and appears slightly more silver in coloration due to the different metal composition. But what truly makes these coins stand out is their diameter. They're noticeably smaller than standard pennies because dime planchets are only 17.9 millimeters in diameter, compared to the penny's 19 millimeters. Now, how do you identify if you have one of these rarities? First, look for a 1987 penny that appears slightly off in color, more silvery than coppery. Then check the size and weight, it should be smaller and lighter than a normal penny. The strike might also appear incomplete, with parts of the design possibly missing, especially around the edges. This happens because the dime planchet's smaller size means the entire penny design couldn't fit properly. What makes this error so fascinating to collectors is that it represents a confluence of failures in the quality control system. The wrong metal made it into production, the wrong size wasn't caught, and somehow these oddities made it into circulation, a perfect storm of mint mistakes that resulted in numismatic gold, or should I say copper-nickel. In terms of value, these coins are truly extraordinary. While a typical 1987 penny might be worth exactly 1 cent, these wrong planchet errors have sold for anywhere between $2,500 to an astonishing $17,000, depending on condition. At a heritage auction in 2019, one particularly well-preserved specimen, graded MS-66 by PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, fetched $15,600. That's more than 1.5 million times its face value. Speaking of condition, let's talk about how the state of these coins affects their worth. In numismatics, we use the Sheldon scale, which ranges from poor, P1, to perfect mint state, MS-70. For these error pennies, even heavily circulated examples, those grading around VF20 to EF40, can command prices in the $1,000 to $3,000 range. But the real premium comes with uncirculated specimens. Coins graded MS-63 or higher can easily fetch 5 figures. What's particularly interesting about these wrong planchet errors is that, unlike many other valuable coins, the history of ownership, or provenance, doesn't significantly affect the value. It's all about the error itself and the condition of the coin. This democratizes the hunt somewhat. You don't need a coin with a storied history to have something valuable. You just need the error and good preservation. There's also an intriguing story behind the discovery of these errors. The first documented 1987 penny on dime planchet didn't come to light until the early 1990s, several years after it entered circulation. A collector in Ohio discovered it while sorting through rolls of pennies from his bank, proving that sometimes methodical searching pays off. After that initial discovery, a handful of others emerged, but the total population remains extraordinarily small. Current estimates suggest fewer than 20 authenticated examples exist, making this one of the rarest modern U.S. coin errors. The scarcity creates an interesting dynamic in the collector community. Because these errors are so rare, each new discovery is significant news. In 2012, a rural postal worker in Michigan found one in her register and had it authenticated. It later sold for over $10,000. Imagine finding a five-figure coin in your cash register. This continues to fuel the passion of error coin hunters who meticulously search through bank rolls and change jars. Another fascinating aspect of the 1987 penny on dime planchet is what it reveals about the internal operations of the U.S. Mint. For such an error to occur, the dime planchets must have somehow been mixed with penny planchets before striking. This offers a rare glimpse into the manufacturing processes and quality control measures at the Mint. Numismatic scholars have speculated that these errors likely occurred during a shift change or during maintenance procedures when different denomination planchets might have been present in the same area. The existence of these error coins has also contributed significantly to the field of error numismatics. While many coin collectors focus on completing sets or acquiring coins from certain historical periods, error numismatists specifically seek out mistakes like these. The 1987 penny on dime planchet has become something of a holy grail for this specialized group of collectors. What makes these coins particularly appealing to seasoned collectors is their dual nature. They're both modern enough to potentially be found in circulation yet rare enough to be considered true numismatic treasures. This accessibility combined with exclusivity creates a perfect storm of collector interest. Unlike ancient coins that are firmly in the realm of serious collectors with deep pockets, these error pennies represent the tantalizing possibility that anyone might make a valuable discovery. For those of you wondering about authentication, it's absolutely essential with coins of this value. Both PCGS and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, have authenticated examples of the 1987 penny on dime planchet, and having one of these third-party certifications dramatically increases both the coin's marketability and value. An uncertified example might sell for significantly less due to the uncertainty of its authenticity. There's also the question of where these coins might still be found. While some have emerged from circulation, others have been discovered in mint sets. The U.S. Mint produces uncirculated mint sets each year, containing one example of each coin produced. Theoretically, some of these error pennies could have made their way into these official sets, creating a particularly valuable package. These mint set discoveries are especially prized because they typically reveal examples in pristine condition, having never been circulated. In recent years, with increased awareness of these valuable errors, more people have begun searching specifically for them. This has led to a few more discoveries, but also to an unfortunate rise in counterfeit examples. Some unscrupulous individuals have taken to shaving down regular pennies or plating them differently to mimic the appearance of these valuable errors. This underscores the importance of proper authentication by recognized experts in the field. Now let's turn our attention to our second featured coin, the 1988 Lincoln penny. While at first glance it might seem like just another ordinary cent, certain variations of this coin have captivated collectors and commanded impressive prices. What makes this seemingly mundane coin so special? Well, it all comes down to a fascinating double die error that created one of the most sought-after modern varieties in American numismatics. The 1988 double die obverse Lincoln cent, often abbreviated as 1988 DDO, was created when the hub, the device used to create the die that strikes the coins, imprinted its image onto the die twice, but slightly offset. This resulted in a noticeable doubling effect on certain features of the obverse, front, side of the coin. Unlike the 1987 penny error we just discussed, which was an accidental wrong planchet mistake, double die errors occur during the actual die creation process before any coins are struck. The most prominent area to look for this doubling is in the lettering of Liberty and the date, 1988, where you can see distinct separation in the letters and numbers. The doubling is also visible in the motto, "In God We Trust," particularly in the word God. Under magnification, this doubling appears as clear, separate impressions rather than just a blurry or mushy appearance. That's an important distinction because many coins might have what's called machine doubling or strike doubling, which creates a smeared look rather than the crisp, separated doubling of a true doubled die. The 1988 DDO penny emerged during a fascinating period in U.S. mint history. The late 1980s were a transitional time for minting technology, with the mints still using older methods of die preparation while beginning to implement newer techniques. This transitional period created the perfect conditions for such errors to occur and escape notice. The Philadelphia Mint, where these pennies were struck, was producing billions of cents annually, making quality control for such subtle varieties extremely challenging. Unlike some coin errors that are one-offs, the doubled die is an error in the die itself, meaning that every coin struck by that particular die carries the same doubling characteristics. Numismatic researchers estimate that somewhere between 250,000 to 500,000 of these 1988 double die pennies may have been produced before the die was retired. While that might sound like a lot, remember that it represents just a tiny fraction of the more than 5.4 billion pennies minted in Philadelphia that year. Finding one is truly like looking for a needle in a haystack. The story of how this variety was discovered adds another fascinating chapter to its history. In late 1989, a collector named Frank Spadun was examining rolls of 1988 pennies when he noticed something unusual about certain examples. Using a magnifying glass, he confirmed the doubling and reported his find to several prominent numismatic publications. His discovery sparked a nationwide search for these pennies, with collectors scrambling to check their change and penny rolls from banks. Within months, coin dealers were advertising to buy these varieties at substantial premiums over face value. What makes the 1988 DDO particularly significant in the error coin community is its status as one of the last major double die varieties to gain widespread recognition before modern minting techniques largely eliminated such errors. The U.S. Mint's transition to single squeeze hubbing, a process that creates dies with just one impression from the hub, greatly reduced the occurrence of double dies on modern coinage. This makes the 1988 DDO something of a final chapter in the storied history of major double die varieties that includes famous coins like the 1955 and 1972 double die cents. In terms of value, the 1988 DDO cent commands impressive prices, especially for high-grade examples. While a regular 1988 penny might be worth exactly 1 cent, even in circulated condition, a 1988 DDO in average circulated condition, EF 40 to -50 Australian dollars, typically sells for $500 to $800. Uncirculated examples graded MS 63 can bring $1,000 to $1,500, while premium uncirculated pieces graded MS 65 or higher have sold for $2,500 to $5,000. At a specialized error coin auction in 2017, an exceptional specimen graded MS 67 read by PCGS realized an astonishing $9,775, nearly a million times its face value. The color designation is particularly important for these pennies. Copper coins can be designated as red, full original mint luster, red-brown, some original color with partial darkening, or brown, significant darkening from oxidation. Full red examples command the highest premiums, as they showcase the coin in its most pristine, original state. A MS 65 red specimen might sell for twice as much as an MS 65 red-brown of the same variety. Like with many valuable coins, there's an interesting psychological element to collecting these 1988 DDOs. Their relative accessibility, the fact that they could theoretically still be found in circulation, creates a persistent treasure hunt mentality among collectors. There are well-documented cases of collectors finding these gems in bank rolls as recently as 2018, 3 decades after they were minted. One particularly lucky collector in Texas discovered 3 examples in a single $25 bank roll in 2015, netting him over $2,000 for an investment of just $25. The educational value of these coins cannot be overstated. For many collectors, discovering or learning about the 1988 DDO serves as an entry point into the fascinating world of error and variety collecting. It teaches the fundamentals of die production, how to distinguish between different types of doubling, and trains the eye to notice minute details. Many seasoned numismatists credit finding their first double die coin as the moment they transitioned from casual collector to serious numismatist. There's also an interesting market dynamic with these coins. Unlike some rare coins that seem to only trade hands between wealthy collectors, the 1988 DDO represents a crossover collectible that appeals to both serious numismatists and casual hobbyists. This broad appeal helps maintain a liquid market for these coins and contributes to their stable, gradually appreciating values over time. For those wondering about authentication, it's worth noting that while third-party grading is recommended for high-value examples, many collectors have become quite proficient at identifying these varieties themselves. The doubling is pronounced enough that with a 5x to 10x magnifier, a knowledgeable collector can confirm the variety with reasonable certainty. However, as values continue to rise, professional certification becomes increasingly important, particularly for uncirculated examples where the difference of a single grade point can mean thousands of dollars in value. The legacy of the 1988 DDO extends beyond its own collectability. It has inspired countless people to examine their change more carefully and develop an appreciation for the craftsmanship and complexity involved in coin production. In numismatic circles, it's often cited as one of the big 3 modern double die cents, alongside the 1969 U.S. and the 1995 double die varieties. Together, these coins form a collecting trilogy that many error enthusiasts aspire to complete. One particularly intriguing aspect of the 1988 DDO is what it reveals about mint production procedures. For such a variety to have entered circulation in significant numbers suggests that either the doubling wasn't noticed during quality control inspections or, perhaps more likely, it was deemed subtle enough not to warrant halting production and replacing the die. These glimpses into mint decision-making processes fascinate both collectors and numismatic historians alike. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who just discovered the fascinating world of error coins, I encourage you to take a closer look at your pocket change. The next time you receive a penny in change, take a moment to check the date. You never know, that 1 cent might just be worth thousands. Happy hunting, and until next time, keep your eyes open and your magnifying glass handy.